Headlines of VTV News. Stock market upgrade could attract $10 billion more in investment for Vietnam. Silent heroes of the Dien Bien Phu campaign. And later on in our world news, expressway collapses in southern China amid heavy rains.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to VTV News, broadcast live to you from Hanoi. You're with me, Lina Fatman. Here's the top news of the hour. Upgrading the stock market to emerging market status could potentially bring Vietnam an additional $10 billion in investment. This figure includes both direct and indirect capital, as reported by KB Vietnam Securities Joint Stock Company, or KBSV, citing sources from the World Bank. KBSV specialists believe that if Vietnam is classified by FTSE Russell as a secondary emerging market, it may gain 0.7 to 1% in FTSE emerging index basket, which could attract between $800 million and $1 billion in new investments from ETF funds. After almost a decade of initiating the stock market upgrade process, Vietnam is now in the final stages of fulfilling the remaining criteria to transition from a frontier to a new emerging market. KBSV anticipates the earliest roadmap for Vietnam's stock market upgrade to be announced this September, with the official upgrade by FTSE Russell expected in their September 2025 review. As we enter the middle of the second quarter, the average export price of certain agricultural products such as vegetables and fruits has increased. This has enabled agriculture to continue contributing to economic development, as exports in this sector have consistently shown growth. Specifically, the fruit and vegetable industry is undergoing notable growth, with an increase of more than 32% compared to the same period last year. It is predicted to set a new export record of $6 to $6.5 billion this year. Exports in the second quarter are forecasted to be even more exciting than the first quarter. This is because many agricultural products, especially key fruits such as lychee, longan, mango, and dragon fruit, will enter the harvest season. Consequently, businesses are channeling their efforts into preparing resources, promoting trade, searching for markets, and signing new orders. In the second quarter of this year, the agricultural industry targets a growth of 2.9 to 3%, with exports of about $14 billion higher than the results achieved in the first quarter. In the first 4 months of the year, the trading activities of the agricultural, forestry, and fishery sectors were a bright spot, earning over $19 billion for the economy. This was an increase of nearly 24% over the same period last year. Overall, the export of rice products recorded significant growth, earning over $2 billion and accessing more markets. More on this to follow.
Many companies currently see significant opportunities for Vietnamese rice products.
2024 is a year with many opportunities for rice production and export. The productivity of rice producers in the Mekong Delta region is high. Profits for farmers and businesses seem more promising than they were last year.
Vietnamese rice products currently dominate many markets. The Philippines is the largest importer of Vietnamese rice. Vietnamese rice products have entered many markets as fierce competitors.
I must say all conditions are favorable for us. The quality is getting better and better. Our products have met the requirements of many markets.
This year, the area of summer-autumn rice crops in the Mekong Delta reached 236,000 hectares, an increase of 3.5% over the same period last year. It is expected that there will be about 7.6 million tons of rice left for export.
We need to set a target for inventory storage. We will stabilize the price and won't let the products get stuck in the fields.
This year, foreign trade continues to face numerous challenges. However, the government remains committed to favorable guidelines and policies with the aim of ensuring exports and adding greater value to Vietnamese rice.
Many types of exported agricultural products have sharply increased in price recently. Coffee, pepper, cocoa, and durian are expected to see higher export output in the future. In addition to the growing global market, the improved quality of Vietnam's agricultural products plays a crucial role in boosting the export prices of domestic goods.
On April 23rd, the domestic coffee market established a new purchase price range, with the highest price reaching $5 per kilogram. Earlier this year, it was priced at only $2.8 per kilogram.
Supply shortages of agricultural products remain a main concern. Adverse weather can cause global output decrease by 10%.
Due to the rising global prices, domestic coffee turnover increased by more than 57%. Bringing in over $1.9 billion. In the first quarter of this year, durian output also generated over $250 million, up 66% from the same period last year.
The output in 2024 will experience an increase compared to that of 2023 due to the expanding growth areas and planting area codes that are 2 times higher than in 2023. The Ministry of Agriculture is negotiating for permissions to export frozen durian. This will be a good news for the durian industry.
Experts say that prices of agricultural products will remain high due to rising world market demand and falling global supply. However, to enhance the value of agricultural products, more sustainable solutions must be considered.
Branding will be an important factor in helping agricultural businesses enhance the value of their products. Reprocessing will also be a factor that boosts both the volume and value of agricultural products in the near future.
Exports of agricultural, forestry, and fishery products are also experiencing promising growth momentum. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development stated that in the first quarter of the year, the total export turnover of agriculture, forestry, and fishery products was estimated at over $13.5 billion, up nearly 22% over the same period last year, achieving a trade surplus of $3.36 billion.
A shipment of Vietnamese veterinary drugs was exported to the market of halal Muslim countries, opening up significant opportunities for Vietnam's products in the agricultural industry. The batch of drugs exported to Indonesia includes antibiotics and antiseptics with a total value of over $200,000. This batch of drugs has been granted a certificate of drug manufacturing practices by the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development according to World Health Organization standards. The halal market is one of the most stringent markets globally, adhering to a set of strict Islamic standards. Due to the stringent regulations for animal-derived products, Vietnam's exported halal products primarily consist of agricultural goods and raw materials for industries like beverages. The successful export shipment of drugs is an important milestone for the industry, proving that Vietnam's production capacity and drug quality can meet domestic demand and also cater to relevant export markets. Decree 38 regulating penalties for violations in the fisheries sector will take effect from May the 20th. Notably, this decree stipulates that fishery exploitation in prohibited areas can incur fines up to $3,500. Certain actions like violating regulations for managing endangered, precious and rare aquatic species or infringing rules for marine protected areas can draw fines up to $4,000. Violations concerning aquatic breeds can lead to fines of around $2,000. The first international intermodal train departed from Cao Xá Station, located in Cao An Commune, Cẩm Giàng District, Hải Dương Province. This event marks the station's debut in international intermodal transport to China. Situated near Hải Dương major industrial parks, this station could potentially reduce the cost of transporting export goods by approximately 30%. The first freight train operated at Cao Xá Station in Hải Dương included 12 containers carrying sulfur, aluminum, and milk produced at factories in Hải Dương, Hải Phòng, and Hưng Yên provinces. After arriving at Yên Viên Station, they will be connected to international intermodal trains for export to China. In the near future, if approved by authorities, the Vietnam Railways Corporation plans to implement Phase 2 of the project. Upon completion of the Cao Xá Station, it will operate 2 international routes. Import and export goods will undergo customs procedure directly at the station, potentially shortening procedure and transportation times. And coming up, let's take a look at how the Vietnam đồng is weighed against other currencies in the world market today. Coming up next, Central Highlands people benefit from concentrated production areas. And a story of silent heroes of the Điện Biên Phủ campaign. After several days of a scorching heat wave, many localities in the north experienced thunderstorms. Yesterday evening, a hailstorm occurred in the mountainous district of Tương Dương. The storm lasted about 40 minutes and was characterized by unusually large, dense hailstones. More than 30 houses, primarily in Trung Thắng village of Yên Thắng Commune, are estimated to have suffered roof damage. Immediately after the hailstorm, the commune government sent officials to inspect the damage, estimate the losses, and assist people in recovering from the damage. On Wednesday, a widespread fire broke out in Dương Tơ Commune, Phú Quốc City, Kiên Giang Province, affecting an area of 11,000 square meters, including 700 square meters of protective forest. In Kiên Giang Province, a forest fire in Vĩnh Phú Commune, Giang Thành District, has damaged about 371 hectares of forest over the past few days. Localities have requested relevant units to be on duty 24/7 and equip themselves with machinery to strengthen fire prevention. Over the past 7 days in An Giang, local authorities have reported 2 forest fires, resulting in damage to more than 40 hectares. In response, firefighting efforts have been escalated as over 16,000 hectares of forest are under the threat of extremely dangerous fires. The Central and Central Highlands region has been experiencing an unprecedented heat wave in recent days, resulting in drought and severe water shortages. While the allocation of water resources among areas along the lower Vu Gia Thu Bồn River has not yet escalated to a critical level, it has emerged as a pressing concern amid the current extreme weather conditions.
This is the confluence between Vu Gia River and Quảng Huế River. During the dry season, this water source provides daily water for nearly 1 million people in Da Nang City and tens of thousands of hectares of crops in 4 districts and cities of Quảng Nam Province. Therefore, the construction of a temporary dam to redirect water to Vu Gia River is currently under negotiation and consideration.
We request that the dam be built so that water returning to Da Nang at An Chai Station reaches a height of 1.6 to 2 meters to ensure a safe water supply for Da Nang this dry season.
The consensus among the authorities and local communities regarding the sharing of water resources is commendable. This measure aims to maintain a balanced flow and prevent issues such as erosion.
The temporary dam blocking has been deployed many times by Quảng Province and Da Nang City authorities. However, this is still only a temporary solution.
Currently, 2 localities are proposing to the government and the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to re-evaluate flow fluctuations to have a sustainable ratio between the 2 localities.
The sharing of water resources between Quảng Nam Province and Da Nang City underscores the imperative of prioritizing water security. It emphasizes the necessity for effective collaboration to responsibly manage and distribute this invaluable resource.
2 decades ago, the Central Highlands provinces initiated a plan to allocate residential and production land to local ethnic households. They repurposed unused and inefficient land into concentrated production areas. Subsequently, these farming areas were handed over to farmers for crop cultivation. This initiative has brought about significant improvements in the lives of ethnic communities.
Ikung's family members are harvesting the remaining rice from the winter's spring crop amid a scorching heat. In 2016, due to a lack of production land, his family was granted more than 6 acres of land in this field. Despite initial difficulties, the household is now able to produce 2 dry crops, equivalent to 10 tons per year.
For this crop, we earn more profit thanks to the authorities' support in seeds and fertilization.
Initially, local people were not familiar with the new agricultural practices. Therefore, the district organized field workshops and provided training sessions. Rice prices have increased in recent years, so farmers' income is becoming more stable.
When the Erod Lake irrigation project was put into use in 2016, the Ayaka District's People's Committee mobilized all resources to improve the fertile soil layer. They then divided the land into plots and handed them over to more than 450 ethnic households. Currently, the local authorities are taking measures to expand the field area by associating it with local investment projects.
We've inspected this area to evaluate the terrain and make appropriate elevations. The survey unit also assessed the area geology during the process and believes the area provides favorable conditions for wet rice to grow.
Proper planning of production areas has created sustainable livelihoods for ethnic households. This endeavor affirms the effectiveness of the government's decision number 132 in enabling ethnic communities to enjoy a more prosperous life.
To foster the tradition of good relations between Vietnam and Cambodia, the provincial governments of bordering provinces have regularly implemented programs over the years to support people in difficult circumstances from both sides. Recently, the Union of Friendship Organizations of Đông Tháp Province coordinated with the local authority of Phrie Vang Province, Cambodia, to organize visits, medical examinations, and free medicine for poor people in Phiem Chau District, a border district between Cambodia and Vietnam. From early morning, a large number of poor people, including Vietnamese and Cambodian, in the 3 communes of Khao Roca, Khao Chek, and Prek Sambor of Phiem Chau District, Phrie Vang Province, showed up for free health checkup. They also received a variety of supplements, vitamins, and medications for the treatment of common diseases. More than 6 million international visitors arrived in Vietnam in the first 4 months of this year, an increase of 70% compared to the same period last year, exceeding the pre-pandemic period. Korean tourists continue to account for the highest proportion, making up more than a quarter of international visitors to Vietnam. Additionally, the number of visitors from Southeast Asian markets is growing well, with visitors from the Philippines and Indonesia increasing 1.5 to 2-fold. European markets also continue to grow strongly thanks to the effective open visa policy implemented on August the 15th last year. foster brother is the term given by Vietnamese soldiers to military chefs and culinary specialists. During the Dien Bien Phu campaign, these foster brothers were praised as silent heroes. Although they did not directly fight the enemies with guns, they undertook tasks of equal importance. Their contributions on the battlefields played a crucial role in the grand victory of the entire campaign.
Digging dirt to build kitchens and preparing meals on the battlefield, the Foster brothers in the Dien Bien Phu campaign were not afraid of the rain of bombs and bullets.
They were the lifeline from the rear to every trench, to every combat position. There had to be courage, ingenuity, creativity, and love for comrades for them to fulfill their missions.
No smoke and no light was the motto of the Foster brothers while working on the battlefields. On some occasions, when the Vietnamese troops were close to the enemies, the Foster brothers had to prepare hot meals for them.
Carry hot meals and water for soldiers fighting in the trenches. We walked shoulder to shoulder without any fear of bombs. When bombs hit, we hit, then moved. I was not afraid. I saw with my own eyes Foster brothers being hit while carrying meals through the trench. Soldiers shouted to the telecom, "Don't come, just don't come, we would rather be hungry." We admired them. We will never forget the efforts to prepare hot meals for us, to prepare us for battles towards the grand victory.
Foster brothers, they don't just cook. They accompanied troops on the battlefields. The smell of guns mixed in every sip of water. Reaching the top of the hill, brave soldiers are our Foster brothers. These brave Foster brothers made a significant contributions to the historic victory on May 7, 1954.
Coming up next in our world news, expressway collapses in southern China amid heavy rains. And U.S. imposes new sanctions on Russia, focusing on weapon programs. The death toll from a highway collapse in southern China's Guangdong province has risen to 36. Previously on Wednesday, a nearly 60-foot segment of an expressway in a rural area of southeastern China collapsed after days of heavy rain. The collapse, triggered by heavy rain, occurred at around 2:10 a.m. local time on Wednesday on the Meizhou Dabu Expressway. The collapsed section was 17.9 meters in length and caused 23 vehicles to plunge. Chinese Xinhua News Agency said the incident was a natural geological disaster under the impact of persistent heavy rain. The incident is the latest in a series of disasters linked to extreme weather events in Guangdong in recent weeks. The United States imposed new sanctions on nearly 300 companies and individuals associated with Russia's weapons development program on Wednesday. The actions by the U.S. Department of Treasury and State target Russia's military-industrial base, chemical weapons programs, and individuals and companies in third countries accused of supporting Russia's special military campaign in Ukraine. Among the countries are China, Azerbaijan, Belgium, Slovakia, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates. Russian ambassador to the U.S., Anatoly Antonov, stated that U.S. sanctions against Russia have threatened Russia's partners and blocked normal channels of foreign trade cooperation. Spokesperson of the Chinese embassy in the U.S., Liu Pengyu, said Beijing strongly opposes the U.S. illegal unilateral sanctions against Chinese companies. China maintains an objective and fair stance on the situation in Ukraine and has never provided weapons to any side in the conflict. The U.S. Federal Reserve kept interest rates steady on Wednesday and signaled it is still leaning towards eventual reductions in borrowing costs. That steady progress has stalled for now, and rate increases remained unlikely. The U.S. Federal Reserve set the stage for a potentially extended hold of the benchmark policy rate in the 5.25% to 5.50% range that has been in place since July. U.S. central bankers still believe the current policy rate is putting enough pressure on economic activity to bring inflation under control. However, by the session's end, only the Dow Jones index showed a slight increase, while the other two indexes declined. This happened due to the Fed's cautious stance on its inflation target. They announced their reliance on real economic data before making decisions in any meeting. And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store, Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. Goodbye for now.